We are now in the 80s, from the 60s to the 80s. And in 1981, on January 15th, Marvin released his In Our Lifetime album, which came through some drama. After Hear My Dear didn't do well for him, he got mad and he stopped promoting the album. He went to London and he basically lived in a van, I think on a beach or somewhere in isolation. He did tours for money over there because he was really, really popular. But I think but he didn't really want to sing those songs. He didn't really want to tour. He was half-hearted and he got a bad reception by one of them, and he walked off stage and quit. He was on drugs. He didn't have any money. Marvin was going through some things, and he just was not really into making music at the time. So he went through like a 3-year hiatus. And on top of that, the IRS, he owed the IRS like $3 million or something like that. So Marvin was going through it, man. But he had this album idea that he wanted to do, The Love Man, but he stopped the concept for it. And I think that after everything he went through, he eventually came back to do it because he needed the money. And eventually he got to a point where he really wanted to do the album. He finally found his concept, which centered around love and evil, good and evil. And, Marvin was in a position where he was looked at as a sex symbol, and he got to a point where he wasn't trying to compete with Michael Jackson or Prince, who were on top of the world at the time. He finally got back to doing music with a message, a theme, and for himself. So he didn't want to really do anything about a woman again. He wanted to actually just do Marvin. So here we are with the In Our Lifetime album, which is a good album, but for the most part, it did okay. Motown took the album when he turned it in. Or somebody turned it in without him knowing it, and they took the album, and and they made some edits, and then they put it out because he owed them an album, and he wasn't giving them an album. And Motown got mad. They were like, "Fine, we got it. We're not gonna listen to Marvin get back in his feelings about anything. We're gonna take this album, and put it out." Marvin got mad, and just a whole other thing. So it was a situation. It was a big situation going on with it. But overall, I think this is a good album. It's one that I came across just like Hear My Dear that my dad had, and I put it on, listened to it. I had never heard it before, and I really enjoyed hearing new songs from Marvin. Marvin in the 80s with a little bit of the funk, a little bit of the disco thing going on here, with the opening praise, which is good. I think it's a good opener to the album. Life is for Learning, which is a more of a slower jam from here. There are not a lot of slow songs on here, which I love slow song Marvin, but there are enough good funk records, I think, to make up for it, and enough good things that he did on here with beat changes and stuff like that make up for it. With Love Party. Love Party has a great breakdown on it that I like, that I love. I wish it was a longer song, but it wasn't. Funk Me is great. Far Cry is another really, really good song on here. Love Me Now or Love Me Later. In Our Lifetime, the closing track. And Heavy Love Affair, which I believe I first heard on the anthology, and eventually I found out that it came on this album when I got it from my dad. But really, really great groove with that particular song. And I really love the expanded edition that gives you the original recordings for these, which were intended to be for an album he titled The Love Man, which he scrapped, and that's the one that Motown got upset about. That's the one that they wanted, he didn't do. So when he just took some of those ideas and rewrote them and put them out on as this version of the album. But with the expanded edition, you get a chance to hear the original cuts of those, and it's a if you're into it, you're nerdy like me. It's a really, really, really good, interesting listen just to hear the original thoughts and ideas that he had versus what he actually ended up putting out. So Marvin was back, and he's going to return after this album with a banger. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll be back with another Marvin hit.